Hello, and welcome to History Sleep Stories. Tonight, let us drift back in time not just decades or centuries, but more than 2,000 years, to an age when the Mediterranean world pulsed with myth and ritual, when men gathered from distant city-states not for conquest, but for glory. Close your eyes, slow your breathing, and imagine you are about to compete in the ancient Olympic Games. The year is 480 BCE. Greece is not a single country as we know it today. Instead, it is a patchwork of fiercely independent city-states. Proud Athens with its philosophers, and marble temples, warlike Sparta with its soldiers hardened from childhood, and dozens of smaller palaes scattered across mountains, coasts, and fertile plains. They often fought bitter wars with one another. Yet every 4 years, they called a truce. For a few sacred weeks, they put down their weapons and gathered together in one holy place, Olympia, in the lush valley of the river Alpheus, in the western Peloponnese. Olympia is no ordinary venue. It is a sanctuary devoted to Zeus, king of the gods. Here, beneath sacred olive groves, rise altars, treasuries, and temples filled with offerings from across the Greek world. The most magnificent of all is the colossal gold and ivory statue of Zeus, built by the sculptor Phidias around 435 BC. Travelers centuries later would count it among the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But before you step into the stadium, before you dream of competing, there are rituals, rules, and traditions to observe. The Olympic Games are not simply contests of strength. They are religious festivals, bound by myth and sacred duty. Legend tells that Heracles, son of Zeus, founded the games to honor his father. Another story claims King Pelops, who gave his name to the Peloponnese, inaugurated the festival after winning a chariot race. Whatever the truth, the first recorded games took place in 776 BCE, and from then on, they were held every 4 years for more than a millennium. Now, imagine yourself as one of the athletes. You are not a professional in the modern sense. There is no salary, no corporate sponsor. You might be a farmer's son from Arcadia, a noble youth from Corinth, or a Spartan hoplite soldier. But whoever you are, you have trained relentlessly, knowing that victory will bring honor not only to yourself, but also to your city. Training is harsh. At dawn you rise, stretching muscles beneath the Mediterranean sun. Your diet is plain: bread, olives, figs, cheese, sometimes roasted meat for strength. You train naked, as every Greek athlete does. Gymnasium itself comes from gymnos, meaning naked, for the human body was not only a tool of sport, but a display of beauty and discipline. Before competing, you must travel to Elis, the city that oversees the games. There, a month before the festival, you swear an oath before Zeus Horkios, Zeus of oaths, that you have trained for 10 months and will compete fairly. The judges, called the Hellenodikai, watch closely. Cheating carries shameful punishment. Those caught are fined, and their names inscribed on bronze statues of Zeus, called the Zanes, placed at the stadium entrance as eternal reminders of dishonor. The games begin with ceremony. On the first day, you and thousands of others process to the great altar of Zeus. 100 oxen are sacrificed, their meat roasted and shared in a grand feast. Trumpets sound, heralds declare the contests, and the sacred truce, the Echecheria, is proclaimed. For these days, even sworn enemies like Athens and Sparta must honor the peace. The first contest is always the stadium race, a sprint of roughly 192 meters, the length of the stadium floor. Imagine standing at the line, your toes pressed into stone grooves, muscles tense. At the signal, you surge forward, dust flying beneath your feet, lungs burning. The stadium winner's name is immortalized, used to mark the Olympiad itself, the 4-year cycle by which Greeks keep time. But sprinting is only the beginning. Next comes the dialos, a double race down and back. The Dolichos, a long-distance endurance race of up to 24 laps. and the hoplitodromos where you run in armor with shield and helmet, mimicking the weight of a soldier in battle. The combat sports bring even more intensity. Wrestling pale is about balance and leverage. You crouch low, arms outstretched, aiming to throw your opponent to the ground 3 times. Matches are silent save for the scrape of feet in sand and the grunts of exertion. Boxing is harsher. Fighters wrap their fists in leather thongs, hemantis, with no rounds, no breaks, and no weight classes. Victory comes only when one man yields or falls. Broken bones and bloodied faces are common, yet the crowd cheers every strike. Most dangerous of all is the pancration, a blend of wrestling and boxing, where nearly anything is allowed. Punches, kicks, holds, and strangles are legal. Only biting and eye gouging are banned, though even those rules are sometimes ignored. Victors of the pancration are revered for their toughness and cunning, enduring contests that blur the line between sport and survival. Not all contests are fought on foot. In the hippodrome, chariots race across the dirt track, wheels rattling, horses foaming with sweat. Crashes are frequent, and drivers risk their lives on every turn. But the glory belongs not to the charioteer, but to the horse owner, often a wealthy aristocrat. One such victor was Cynisca of Sparta, who in the 4th century BC, he became the first woman recorded as an Olympic champion through her chariot team, despite women being barred from competing themselves. Then there is the pentathlon, admired as the ultimate test. 5 events: sprinting, long jump with stone weights called halters, javelin throwing, discus, and wrestling. To win the pentathlon is to embody the Greek ideal of balanced strength, skill, speed, and endurance in harmony. All around you, thousands of spectators fill the valley. Farmers, merchants, poets, and philosophers come to Olympia not only for sport, but for culture. Diplomats announce treaties. Sculptors display statues. Poets like Pindar compose victory odes to immortalize champions in song. Olympia becomes the beating heart of the Greek world, where politics, art, and religion mingle with athletic glory. Yet the games are not for everyone. Only free Greek men may compete. Married women are barred even from watching inside the stadium, though young girls can attend. Women have their own festival, the Heraean Games, dedicated to Hera, where maidens race in shorter tunics. Still, the Olympic Games remain firmly a male domain, celebrating ideals of masculinity, piety, and civic pride. What do you win? Not gold or silver medals, not riches from the organizers. The victor's prize is a crown of olive leaves, cut from Zeus's sacred grove. Yet that simple wreath carries immeasurable honor. When you return home, your city may reward you with free meals for life, front row seats at the theater, or even statues erected in your likeness. Champions like the wrestler Milo of Croton, who won 6 Olympic titles in the 6th century BCE, are remembered as near mythical heroes. But victory also belongs to your city. When a Spartan triumphs, Sparta glows with pride. When an Athenian wins, Athens rejoices. Rivalries play out on the field as much as in battle, yet for a brief moment, all of Greece celebrates together. The games endure through centuries of turmoil. When Persia invades, the games still go on. When Alexander the Great conquers lands as far as India, the games continue. Even under Roman rule, emperors sponsor the festival, and Olympia remains a sacred destination. But the world changes. By the 4th century CE, Christianity spreads across the empire. To Christian rulers, sacrifices to Zeus seem like pagan idolatry. In 393 CE, Emperor Theodosius I issues an edict banning such festivals. After more than 1,000 years, the Olympic flame goes out. Olympia's temples crumble, its altars fall silent, and floods and earthquakes bury the ruins beneath earth and silence. For centuries, Olympia sleeps, forgotten, until the 19th century, when archaeologists uncover the ancient stones, temples, and stadiums, piecing together the story of the games. In 1896, the Olympics are reborn in Athens, carrying the ideals of the ancients into the modern world. Excellence, honor, unity. Today, athletes from every nation gather beneath the Olympic flame, running, wrestling, and racing in the footsteps of their ancestors. So, what if you had competed in the ancient Olympic Games? You would stand under the blazing Greek sun, your body oiled and glistening, your heart pounding with both fear and pride. You would test yourself not just against rivals, but against the very ideals of your civilization, the pursuit of arete, the perfection of mind and body. And if you triumphed, you would carry home not only an olive crown, but eternal glory, your name etched into history. As you drift to sleep tonight, imagine the cheering of thousands, the thunder of hooves in the hippodrome, the clash of wrestlers on the sand, the trumpet's call to the altar of Zeus. The games may be gone, but in memory, myth, and the stories we tell, they live on. And perhaps, in dreams, you too may sprint the stadium, wrestle beneath the gaze of gods, or feel the olive crown upon your head. For in the stillness of night, history breathes again, and the ancient Olympic Games continue timeless, eternal, and forever alive in the human spirit. Thank you for listening to History Sleep Stories. Consider subscribing to hear more journeys into the past as we bring forgotten worlds back to life, one story at a time.